Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Rowan and we're playing Dragon Age Origins. So in our last video, we went to Lothering, explored it a little bit, did some quests helping the folks around the village. We picked up Liliana, we picked up Sten, and I think just before we entered the camp here, we were on our way out of Lothering. We ran into this merchant, Bodan Fedek, and his son, Sandal. And they said that they weren't going to follow us to our camp, but they seem to be here anyway. I think that's just kind of a default thing in the game. Probably a good thing, though. You guys will see why. They're a good pair. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on. We've got some people to talk to in our camp since we're in here for the first time. We're going to start with the pup.
Oh, why, you little... Your furry friend here took offense at me getting near his food. He snapped at me, look. Sometimes I forget that he's a war dog. That'll teach me.
Yeah, tell him.
I once heard a really old legend about how the Hound warriors in the days of the old tribes would feed their Mabari the flesh of the vanquished. Well, that's what I heard anyway. It would sometimes be human flesh. Oh, like you can tell the difference. For all you know, maybe you've already been fed something. Someone.
Oh, come on. It's not just a dog. He's like a dog with human intelligence.
Look at what your fool dog placed in my pack. A putrid, half-eaten hare is not something a woman wants to find in her unmentionables. You are welcome to this if you really want it. Dirty mongrel can have this back. There. And tell him not to do it again. I don't want it, you worthless fur bag.
Aww.
Oh, he's just trying to be manipulative, I can tell. I do it too.
She's honest. Oh, of course. Of course Sten would do that.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
That's funny. Hello, Liliana.
Yes? Well, here I am. Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. and in that stillness I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose. When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools. What can I say to them? What they believe is what the chantry says, and the chantry is infallible, yes. Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Oh, no, you haven't.
Yes? Well, here I am. I knew this would come up sooner or later. I don't know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable darkness. It was so dense, so real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell, and the darkness drew me in. When I woke, I went to the chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith. In my dream, I fell, or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop the blight. I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything? That is why you're a Grey Warden. Come, there's a blight to stop. Yes?
I think you should go. No,
Well,
I need a rogue.
What is meant by someone like me? Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Oh, very well. So, they added gifts to this game that you can buy from merchants to increase their... And I'm talking about as a DLC. There was already gifts in the base game that you can give to your companions to increase their approval rating. But they added extra ones for super cheap, so it kind of... I don't know. On one hand, I don't like that I can make a decision and half my companions approve while the other half disapprove, because I'd rather hear the story of all of them. My tendency is not to, you know, back-to-back replay games. I do return to games and replay them. I mean, look at where we're at. but I don't always... I don't know. I don't like making enemies. So if I'm doing a replay, maybe I might change up the story a little bit, but I'm really not going to deviate from my own personality too much. Best I've got is, you know, for example, the war between the Templar and the mages and stuff in Dragon Age Inquisition. It's not really a spoiler, it's kind of out there already, but there's good and bad on both sides of the war, so I can realistically, you know, kind of roleplay either one. But there are some things that are, like, objectively wrong and objectively right that I just could not roleplay any other way. So when there's stuff like that, I don't like that. For example, giving to the poor. There's some argument to be made that it doesn't really help, but it doesn't, or maybe that it even hurts to a degree. But I personally, if I have the money, you know, I'd make a terrible rich person, I guess, because I would give to the poor if I, you know, had that kind of money to where it would make a difference. That would be part of my thing. And I don't think I could, in a game where, you know, I mean, how much money do I have now in this game? 13 gold, and I'm at the beginning of the game. That's probably not a lot, but by most games that I play, I kind of hoard, and I, you know, end up having more money than I really need. So I can't really realistically roleplay not giving to the poor. But anytime in this game, for example, if you give to the poor, you're going to get the disapproval of Sten and definitely Morrigan. She's not really for anything like that. And I don't like that. But, I mean, it's just me, I guess. I can't, like, be mean to Leliana. You know, even if I did, you know, like if I were a non-religious person in real life, I don't think I could actually be mean to Leliana and say some of those things that she had in her. I couldn't do that just because I feel like that's wrong, you know? Like, nobody has all of life figured out, so why would I make, you know, disparage somebody else for making their own way in that? I don't know. I don't have any more answers than she does. And I'm sure that she probably looks at, you know, what I would believe or not believe, you know, as equally outlandish if it were something that she didn't believe, you know? Anyway, I'm just ranting. Alright, I think she has nothing else to say here.
Well, here I am.
Ah, okay.
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Oh, she's got plenty to say still.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris. Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Olay. A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot. Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the Grand Tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the Grand Tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered. Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the Grand Melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat. The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Okay. Instead of having her go through all of these, I'm gonna spread it out a little bit. I don't think it's meant for them to just kind of sit here and do all of their conversation in one go anyway. So, we'll go on for now. That was a cool story. Alright, Alistair, you're next.
What do you need? You don't have to do that. I know you didn't know him as long as I did. I should have handled it better. Duncan warned me right from the beginning that this could happen. Any of us could die in battle. I shouldn't have lost it, not when so much is riding on us, not with the Blight and everything. I'm sorry. I'd like to have a proper funeral for him. Maybe once this is all done, if we're still alive. I don't think he had any family to speak of. I suppose he did. It probably sounds stupid, but part of me wishes I was with him, in the battle. I feel like I abandoned him. I'd be dead then, wouldn't I? It's not like that would make him happier. I think he came from High Ever, or so he said. Maybe I'll go up there sometime. See about putting up something in his honor. I don't know. Have you had someone close to you die? Not that I mean to pry, I'm just...
Shit.
Oh, of course. How stupid of me to forget. Here I am going on and on about Duncan, and you... I am so sorry. Thank you. Really, I mean it. It was good to talk about it, at least a little. I'd like that. So would he, I think.
He's easily pleased. I mean, well, that was a good thing. A good talk. My character is actually going to romance Alistair. I'm sorry if that weirds you out, because I'm a dude or whatever, but I'm trying to get a specific ending for this game, and, you know, the ending in this game leads to some of the other games, so... But anyway, my character is a female, not me.
What do you need? Ask away. Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells. You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit. No, I never actually became a full Templar. Duncan recruited me before I took my vows. I was only present during one harrowing. The ritual that they test the mages with. It's not unlike our joining, really. And just as deadly. The girl they tested, she had a demon put inside her to see if she could resist. And she couldn't. We had to end it quickly. I have to say I didn't have much interest in becoming a Templar after that. You'd think that, but it's not so. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put two and two together. Well, they do it, and they feel perfectly justified. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective, or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away, either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me. What do you need? Ask away. I suppose I could, but I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word. Of course I do. It's just... I don't think you necessarily need Templar secrets to defeat the Darkspawn. Ask me later, perhaps. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all. What do you need? Ask away. Such as they are. That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go. I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. Just left? You mean just left Ferelden? I don't know. If there's an archdemon, however, we're supposed to be the only ones who can defeat it. And that means the Blight would grow unchecked. Eventually, other Grey Wardens in Orlais and other lands would hear about it, and they would come to fight it, but they wouldn't come in time to save Ferelden. There's no way. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Such as they are.
Oh, that was it.
About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. What do you need? Ask away. Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you? I do my best. What can I say? Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills. It's really for the best. I'm not exactly the Chantry type, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I would have made a very good Templar. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky. I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have. He was a good man who didn't deserve his fate. That much I'm sure of. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
Okay, that's fair. We'll spread him out a little bit too. He's got quite a bit to say.
Why are we stopping?
Freaking machine.
There are darkspawn to be fought. Is this delay needful? I am Kunari. I have given my word to aid you. We are not people of idle promises. For the moment, you are the enemy of my enemy. They have no more allies than a hurricane or an earthquake. They are enemies to all. You are concerned. No need. I am fit enough to fight. I am. Decide. I am a Sten of the Beresad. I did not choose to be who I am any more than you did. I have always fought in war, human. Some of them. They aren't all alike. No. People are not simple. They cannot be summarized for easy reference in the manner of, the elves are a lithe, pointy-eared people who excel at poverty.
So at poverty. I'm not actually a big fan of Sten or the Kunari. I mean, they're an interesting culture and everything, but it's definitely like a cultural clash of ideals.
Many humans have said that to me. I do not understand it. If I were indeed hostile, you would be bleeding. Couldn't you tell? As you wish.
Oh, well, he approved. Okay, I'm glad. I guess.
Yes. Sitting, as you observed.
I don't think he was joking.
It's what you asked. Warden, if I truly disliked you, I would leave. That I am still here, you may interpret however you choose. Parshera, was there anything else? I am hardly surprised. To answer a question. The Arishok asked what is the Blight. By his curiosity, I am now here. The one who commands the Antam, the body of the Kunari. Why do you? Exactly. You don't ask, nor do I. The Arishok sends me and I go. Yes. Never. I cannot go home. Thank you. Can we move on? We keep the Darkspawn waiting. As you wish.
Well, I guess he's oh wow. He approved by 19? What the? See, I don't get these guys. I just don't. I've played this game, I've played all 3 games, and you'd think that I would understand the Kunari, but I really don't. It's like a cultural clash, it really is. Alright, Morrigan. Your turn, sister.
What do you wish of me? If you must. Why do you ask me such questions? I do not probe you for pointless information, do I? Oh, what luck. What is it you asked? If I grew up in the wilds? A curious question. Where else would you picture me? For many years it was simply Flemeth and I. The wilds and its creatures were more real to me than Flemeth's tales of the world of man. In time, I grew curious. I left the wilds to explore what lay beyond, never for long. Brief forays into a civilized wilderness.
I like the way she put that, civilized wilderness.
For the most part, Flemeth taught me well. For all that I had been taught, however, the truth of the civilized lands proved to be overwhelming. I was unfamiliar with so much. So confident and bold was I, yet there was much that Flemeth could never have prepared me for. Was I hurt? What manner of simpering weakling do you take me for?
Oh.
Only once was I accused of being a witch of the wilds, and that by a chastened who happened to be traveling with a merchant caravan. He pointed and gasped and began shouting in his strange language, and most assumed he was casting some curse upon me. I acted the terrified girl, and naturally, he was arrested.
Nice.
Men are always willing to believe 2 things about a woman. 1, that she is weak, and 2, that she finds him attractive. I played the weakling and battered my eyelashes at the captain of the guard. Child's play. The point being that I was able to move through human lands fairly easily. Whatever humans think a witch of the wild looks like, 'tis not I. Not that I did not have trouble. There are things about human society which have always puzzled me, such as the touching. Why all the touching for a simple greeting? To begin with, yes. What is the point of touching my hand? I find it an offensive intrusion. There were many nuances that Flemeth could never tell me of. When to look into another's eyes, how to eat at a table, how to bargain without offending. None of these things I knew. I still do not understand it all, truth be told, but then I gave up long ago any hope of doing so. When I returned to the wilds last, I swore to Flemeth that I had no intention of leaving again. I have no qualm with the mission I have been set to. Flemeth was correct, like it or not. The Darkspawn are an enemy of all. Well, let's get on with it before the ground opens up and swallows us, yes?
She's another one that's kind of difficult to, please.
What do you wish of me? If you must. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part. Or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
What a childhood, man.
Sometimes. Eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum. I think that my mother made it fun so that a child did not learn to fear. And I think that it was necessary. There are no trials for apostates, no prisons, no mercy. There are only absolutes, so only survival matters. If the wilds have taught me anything, 'tis this. First, you must survive. Do you disagree? An enlightened view, or at least an agreeable one. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. What do you wish of me? If you must. Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
A nutty old bat?
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience. Ah, I see. That does explain much. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire. As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her. Many centuries before this land was even named Ferelden. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the Bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conabar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conabar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife. And Osen agreed. The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge. That was not the point. Conobar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see. Chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies. The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began. The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her. You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too. The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well. I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all. How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her. Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless. Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Alright. We'll spread it out for all of our companions. Keep it organic. Hey, Bodan.
Ah, it's good to see you, my timely rescuer. Bodon Fett at your service once again. I saw your camp and remembered the kind offer that you made the last time we met. And is there anywhere safer for a poor merchant and his son to sleep? I think not. I'm perfectly willing to offer you a fine discount for the inconvenience of our presence. How does that sound? Good? Yes? Anything, everything, but all of the finest quality. No cheap trinkets here. And my boy Sandal happens to be a bit of a hand with enchantments. Oh, yes. Sadly, it also makes us a target for bandits and the like. If there were spare hands to hire as guards, I would have done so long ago. Wonderful. Thank the kind lady, won't you, boy?
Thank you, kind lady.
We won't be a bother to you and your companions, I assure you. If you should need enchantments, simply talk to my boy. Otherwise, come speak with me.
Hello.
The boy's a bit simple, but he's rather good with enchantments. One of those tranquil fellas actually called him what was it now? A savant. I had no idea such a thing existed. He can fold lyrium into almost any weapon or piece of armor, though naturally some of the more extravagant materials will take more lyrium than others. It's a process that some of the master smiths back in Orzammar will perform, but my boy here is just as adept at it. Isn't that right, boy?
Enchantment!
And there you have it.
Enchantment!
Alright, so let's see here. So we actually have a few weapons in our inventory. Most of them we can't really use right now. Pretty much all of them we can't use. Except for Oathkeeper. I have that one equipped. And I can add lightning damage to it. Woohoo! Alright.
If there's anything I can do for you, please, please tell me.
Ah.
Well, if you're really interested, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to tell you. I am originally from Orzammar, the famed dwarven city that lies beneath the stately Frostback Mountains. I was a merchant there, too. Merchant caste. These things are in the blood, you know. You can't just leave them behind. I ran a fairly successful business. Rare artifacts, you know. Old things, grand things. The nobles loved them. Reminded them of the lost glory days, I suppose. Our kingdoms once spanned the length of Thados, from majestic Orzammar to Kal Sharok to glittering Darmalin far to the west. They say the gold and silver veins ran so thick through the stone of Darmalin that the entire city sparkled. The Darkspawn took it all, of course. One by one, the old tigers fell, and then all that was left was Orzammar. But we were talking about how I ended up here, weren't we? One day, a noble woman came to my store. She looked around for a bit and then started shrieking in dismay. Apparently, she believed that a pair of braces I had for sale once belonged to her brother. He'd been lost in a cave-in, you see, while on an expedition to clear out the Darkspawn from one of the tunnels running close to the city. They were made specially for him. They're unique, she shrieked. He stole them from my poor brother's corpse. She had me arrested on the spot, of course. Nobles, they're touchy like that. Well, I didn't steal them. You see, I'd been paying these castless thugs to venture out into the deep roads for me. The lost tigers. They're full of things that people left behind. Sometimes you can find a treasure. Something worth a little gold. That's exactly how I see it. The noblewoman, she wasn't too happy with the theft of her brother's braces. I don't know what they planned for me, and I didn't want to find out. Bribed the guard that was watching me and took off for the surface first opportunity I got. Never looked back. You're quite welcome. Now, Is there anything the boy or I can get you? Look, we don't rob people, all right? We don't take things from people that need them. The things in the Lost Tides, what good did they do lying there? I brought them back to Orzammar, where people could look at them and remember. It's not all that different up here. There are places long abandoned by the humans everywhere. Even more now with the Darkspawn coming. People flee from the Blight with good reason, but they forget things. Things with value and meaning. They leave them behind because they're frightened and desperate. And sometimes, my boy and I, we find our way to these places before the Horde descends, and we save these things. I take them away so the Darkspawn don't get them. Is that so bad? They destroy everything they touch. That's what I tell myself, too. Ah, these are dark times indeed. Dark times, my friend. Ah, yes. I'm married to a fine woman back in Denerim, it's true. She'd give me a son if she could, but that's not likely to ever be. Sandal here. I found him in the deep roads years ago. Abandoned, I think, and he was never quite right in the head. I took him in, and I brought him with me when I came here to the Sapphirs. He may not be my blood, true, but I think of him as one.
We left Orzammar.
That's right, boy. Maybe one day we'll see it again. That's how I've always felt. As long as he's happy, so am I. It's not as if I don't benefit, mind you. Turns out the boy's a natural working with enchantments. He might have even been lyrium-addled. I never thought of that before, to be honest. Happens sometimes. He can work an enchantment into just about anything, however, given some time. Could probably open his own shop, if he knew how.
Enchantment.
Well, he does seem to enjoy it, at least. I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Alright, first things first, let's sell. Just trying to be careful. Not sell anything that I actually need. I need to figure out who these gifts work better for. Some are generic, like I'm pretty sure wine is basically just like a generic gift. I think there's another companion later that's kind of a drunk. I might save that one for him. He does like better stuff though, like the Golden Scythe 490 black there. Okay. Well, let's see what he's got here. Oh, okay, he's got Tome of Arcane Technique and Physical Technique. I guess we'll hold off for now. Some of this stuff is super expensive. These are going to be good, but only once I can use them. They're actually not that expensive either. 2 gold for each of these. It's not bad at all. I don't remember that. Yeah, we'll hold off for now. Alright, let's check our quests. Sulker's Pass, where a troubled merchant awaits with a deal that just may be good, too good to be true. Okay, these are DLC. Soldier's Peak, the last time you traveled the open road, you caught a glimpse of a merchant in the distance. He appears to be following you. If you set up camp, he might be able to catch up to you. And a king's confidant. There are rumors that a fellow survivor of Ostagar has escaped the prisons of Ban Loren and is seeking the aid of the Grey Wardens. The band's lands lie in the northwest reaches of the Benorn. The escaped prisoner has likely taken refuge in the deep woods of the estate. And then these are our main quests. We gotta get support from the Arl of Redcliffe, the Dwarves of Orzammar and the Dalish and the Circle Mages. And then we already know about these ones. Let's see here. That's a DLC one. You know what? We've got about 5 minutes left until we reach an hour, so let me exhaust a couple more conversation, and this particular video will be about the conversation. So, I don't think Stan has anything else to say, really. We'll go with Alistair. Oops.
What do you need? Ask away. Did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact. Well, they were flying dogs, you see. Surprisingly strict parents, too. And devout Andrastians to boot. Oh, there you go, listening to me again. You'd think you'd have gotten past that already. I ended up in the Chantry, sure, but I didn't start there. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Our Lehman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow. Put a roof over my head. He was good to me. And he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough. I know who I was told was my father. He died even before my mother did, anyhow. It isn't important. Our Lehman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, then you, Arlessa, resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me. Maybe. She felt threatened by my presence, I can see that now. I can't say I blame her. She wondered if the rumors were true herself, I bet. I remember I had an amulet with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming. And raised my dogs. Or I may as well have been, the way I acted. But maybe all young bastards act like that. I don't know. All I know is that the Arl is a good man, and well loved by the people. He also was King Caelan's uncle, so he has a personal motivation to see Loghain pay for what he did. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story. What do you need? Ask away. Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring. I keep it hidden under my pillow. Sometimes I'll take it out just so I can hug it fondly and remember the good old days. Brings a tear to the eyes, you know. Oh, sure. They said that all the self-flagellation would be unpleasant, but you know what they say, one man's pain. You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring. Poke, poke, poke. Tell me everything about your life, Alistair. All right, if you insist. It's not like we have anything better to do, right? The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it. The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful when we encountered Darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home? It is. I didn't know you felt that way. We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Though that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way.
They kind of teeter back and forth between we're the last Grey Wardens and there are other Grey Wardens out there. They're just not here at the moment. Like, no, the Grey Wardens are not gone for good. It's not right.
I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now. What do you need? Ask away. I already said I wouldn't. The answer is still no.
Okay. He's not ready yet. It doesn't matter. I mean, I already have the training from the Raven, but it is a conversation type thing. So anyway, let's talk to Levi Dryden here. He's got a quest for us.
You're a hard woman to find. Where are my manners? The name is Levi Dryden. Did Duncan ever mention me? Levy of the coins? Levy the trader? Really? He never told you of old Levy? We've known each other for years. But here I am carrying on while you have a blight to stop. Don't want to waste your time. But you see, Duncan promised that together we'd look into something important for the Wardens. And for me, but poor Duncan's. Well, no more. A tragedy it is, at that. But I know he would want his work carried on, his pledge fulfilled. It's a bit of a tale, that is. But I'm the one who brought the Grey Wardens back to Ferelden. Well, I was one of the ones. There were a lot of us. Make us breath, I'm a bit nervous. Honoured to be here, really. After King Marek freed us from the Orlesians, the Grey Wardens begged the King's permission to come into Ferelden, some sort of internal business. Me and a mess of other Warden sympathisers spoke on behalf of your order. Tan Loghain was very much against letting Orlesian Wardens in the kingdom, but Marek, Andraste, bless him, was a fair-minded monarch and he let them in. So that's why I was there when the Wardens and their leader, Genevieve, presented herself to the king. The first Wardens in Ferelden in over a century. Proudest state of my life, that was. Duncan was a bit of a scamp back then. We were of an age and struck up a friendship. The king himself went with the Wardens on their mysterious business. When he returned, he rescinded King Ardland's decree, and the Wardens came back to Ferelden for good.
Interesting.
People say it's because the Wardens have become terribly unpopular, just soaking up tires and not doing a bleeding thing for the kingdom. I say that's bollocks, as recent events have shown. That he was. Oh, my stomach's all aflutter. You're welcome. Well, as you know, my family's name is Mud around noble circles. My great-great-grandmother, Sophia Dryden, was the last Warden commander of Ferelden back when the Wardens were known as freeloaders. So King Ardland banished the Wardens, and he took House Dryden's land and titles. And then some. Not much is known about that time. After King Ardland died, there was a civil war, loads worse than this one. And our family was on the run, hunted by enemies, with nary a friend in the world. But Drydens are tough. We rebuilt, became merchants, and we never lost our pride. I asked for the truth. My family reveres Sophia Dryden. We know she died at the old Grey Warden base, Soldier's Peak. We want evidence to clear her name. It won't restore our land or our titles, but it'll restore our honour. Well, no one's been to Soldier's Peak since Ardland's days. At least none that's come back. I spent years mapping the maze of tunnels to the peak, and I found the way a few years back. So I went to Duncan, I did, and I said that he could reclaim the old base and my family could have its honour. Darkspawn surfaced in southern Ferelden, and Duncan got plenty busy recruiting new Wardens and meeting with good King Caelan. Duncan said he would help after the Battle of Ostagar. Said there might be useful things at the peak, but he never had the chance. Soldier's Peak is strategic and symbolic importance. Duncan said that it would be worth it right there. He also hoped to recover lost Warden history and perhaps a few old relics. No one knows what's up there now. I can pick my way through the tunnels at the base of Soldier's Peak, but the place, well, they say it's haunted, and it'll be dangerous for certain. Will you think on it at least? 1,000 blessings upon you, Warden. I'll mark down the location on your map. When you arrive, we'll pick our way through the tunnels together.
Cool. I'm not sure if we're going to do that quest immediately. It's DLC, so I think it's DLC at least. So I think it might be a little bit more challenging. Maybe we need a few more levels first. I guess we'll see. But anyway, we've reached our hour point, so let's go ahead and call it on this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had some fun. I like the story and stuff. So talking to my companions is like one of my favorite things to do in the game, even if there's no combat. But anyway, we'll have some more action in the next video. If you guys did like the video, like and subscribe. Maybe leave me a comment in this comment section for me. And I guess I'll see y'all on the next video. Everybody have a good night.